Our next presenter is the president, CEO, and co-founder of ChannelKey, a full-service agency that helps major brands around the globe maximize their revenue, profit, and brand control on major e-commerce marketplaces like Amazon. Having spoke at industry think tanks, panels, and conferences, he is a national thought leader in Amazon retail strategy and emerging e-commerce trends. As a commentator on Amazon practices, policies, and technologies, he is the go-to opinion source for major business media outlets, having been quoted by Bloomberg, MSN, LA Times, and more. Additionally, he is the co-founder of Trend Nation, a top 200 global Amazon seller, selling more than $250 million in products. So as one of Amazon's top power sellers and presenting tried and true advice for power sellers alike, please welcome our next presenter, Dan Brownsher.
3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Brownsher, CEO at ChannelKey. So I want you to picture yourself today, not as a brand or as a seller or a business, but rather a normal, everyday Amazon shopper. Whether it's the new mother, I just got my first real job shopper, or the fixed income everyday essential shopper. And I want you to consider how everything I tell you creates value and or supports their consumption choices every single day. So special thanks to Greg Mercer and the Jungle Scout team for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I've got 3 objectives today, and those are: 1, to create real take-home value for you. I want to show you how to compete on a crowded and complex marketplace that drives the majority of e-com volume in the US. And lastly, I hope that my kids don't interrupt my recording. So if that happens, I apologize. And I've got one promise, that after today, you will have the basic playbook to build a best-in-class business on Amazon. But then you're going to actually have to do it. And that's where the hard work begins. So a quick bit of background on me. I run ChannelKey. We're a full-service channel management agency. We support brands and manufacturers and help develop and execute businesses on Amazon and Walmart.com. So we see all types of clients, all types of businesses, all types of categories. We've seen it all, and we continue to see it all. A bit more about myself. I've got a pretty deep Amazon background. I co-founded a business about 12 years ago that does it's 10 figures on Amazon in a private label setup. So I've got experience in the platform, have been doing this for many years, and made all the mistakes that we try and prevent our clients from making. We work with emerging brands, Fortune 100 companies, and my perspective comes from what we see our clients doing well, and in certain cases not so well. So I'm going to give it to you straight and tell you what my experience is and what we do. It's not going to apply to you in all cases, but directionally it's very accurate. So what is the game? What are we really talking about? How do you win on Amazon? It's this behemoth, complex, hard place to do business. How do you distill that down in just simple terms that may help you provide some clarity around how to win? And really what we tell our clients and what we always try to do is win the search bar. Okay, so 90% of searches on Amazon start with the search bar, and 63% of clicks are on the first 3 results. So it's imperative that your brand or product is relevant in the search bar and displays as high up on page 1 as possible. And it's about relevancy. So there's hundreds of billions of dollars in retail sales going through the platform. There's a $10+ billion advertising business that's growing. And so it's becoming more and more crowded. But the path to victory is by indexing high in search. And that can be ad search and ad placement, or ideally organic placement. Okay, so what matters is relevancy. So we view Amazon in a very global and holistic way. And the winning strategy is not just having the best ad campaigns and ad structures and the most beautiful content, retail ready listings. You've got to have your entire business buttoned up. Okay, and it starts at the very bottom, and there's a foundational element here that is important. Okay, and this is a pretty busy slide, and the Jungle Scout team will show it to you. We're going to kind of piece through this and work our way from bottom to top. Okay, so there's really not one single thing that will dictate success, but a multitude of factors. And so in our view of the world, you've got to have a very comprehensive and holistic view of your business, your supply chain, your operations, your catalog, your SEO, your ads, your promotions, your merchandising calendar. All of these things have to be working simultaneously to be successful. It's like flying a plane. Okay, you've got to have all the dials correct at all times to make sure that plane stays in the air. Okay, it's absolutely critical. In a lot of cases, it's some of the boring stuff, the unsexy stuff that is going to drive success. It's cool to have a cool product. It's cool to have a good brand, a cool logo. All these things are cool. But in most cases, what we find is the really kind of boring, behind the scenes, operational blocking and tackling stuff is what really matters. And so today, my framework that I'm speaking to you about is related to brands that are in a certain phase of a life cycle. Okay, and we see all different types of businesses. So we've built a graphic here to kind of show our view of the world on the general life cycle that brands are in on Amazon. And so I'm framing this conversation today around brands that are in the launch and traction phases of the life cycle. Okay, so I'm going to provide the top 10 pro seller tips for brands in the launch or traction phase of the life cycle. All right, everybody. So now for the 10 top tips. I'm not going to read all of these off, but you can see them on your screen. We're going to touch on a lot of information today, anything from sourcing products to financials to supply chain to ads to learning and testing and iterating your business. So with that, we're going to start off with the number one tip. Source high quality products priced right for the right target audience. Very important. Not a novel idea, but you'd be surprised at how often we find this is missed. So why is a consumer going to choose your product and become an advocate? Because that's what you want. You want good reviews. You want repeat purchasers. So who are the primary Amazon competitors? How do you stack up as it relates to product quality, features, content, price point? Are you selling a Me Too item, or do you truly have something that is differentiated? And ideally, you have something. It doesn't have to be a lot of things. It could just be one thing that is different or unique about your product that is going to drive volume and continued volume and conversions. And so differentiators and or leverage points that can be your competitive advantage could be intellectual property. You might have a patent on a certain product type or design. It could be your price point. You could have just the best manufacturing source and you get first cost and nobody can beat you on price. That can be your angle, and that's okay. Maybe it's brand. Okay, maybe you've got a contingent and a following that just is loyal to your brand. They love the product. No matter what you bring to market, they buy it. That is a huge differentiator and a competitive advantage. Or it could be reviews. You could have a listing or a product type that has generated tens of thousands of reviews, and that is valuable. And it's hard to overcome that if you're a competitor. Okay, so find good items, high quality items that will drive good quality reviews and repeat purchases. Okay, and understand your audience and who you're marketing to, and make sure that product speaks to that audience. Number two, understanding your revenue and cash flow model. What some earlier stage companies don't realize or understand is the relationship and timing of their revenue and cash flow. Okay, so it requires money to buy inventory. Okay, you work with a factory or a manufacturer, you set up payment terms with the factory. Okay, in a lot of cases, you pay for a portion of that inventory up front. Okay, in a lot of cases, you pay the balance at the moment it ships. Okay, so theoretically, you might have a lot of cash tied up in inventory that's not sellable for months, many months. Okay, so how do you maintain the operations of your business, okay, while in a cash flow strap position? So furthermore, once the item sells, Amazon can hold payment for weeks and in months in certain cases if there are certain account issues that come up from time to time. So in addition to that, there's hard costs that are ongoing to run your business, like staffing, rent, marketing, advertising, and all of these things can add up. And you have to pay these bills. And in certain cases, you have to pay them before actually realizing any sort of cash flow from sales that you've generated and the proceeds from those sales. Okay. So once you turn a sale, you have to pay expenses and turn right around and redeploy that capital for inventory. Okay. So revenue does not equal cash, and cash is the oxygen for your business. Okay. Just because you sold $1 million of product on Amazon doesn't mean you have $1 million. Okay. And it's often overlooked. And some entrepreneurs are in for a rude awakening. So you've got to get very clear on your modeling. Understand the cash flow modeling and when certain things hit, because it's absolutely critical. And the last thing that you can afford is to run on cash. Okay, so very important. Number 3, supply chain and your forecasting work seamlessly and hand in hand. Okay, so a couple stats. An estimated $22 billion are lost each year in sales due to out-of-stock items. Okay, so big missed opportunity if you can't keep your product in stock. And 35% of consumers purchase a different brand when an item is out of stock. So you could have done tremendous work in building volume and long-term value for your products and your customers. But the moment you stock out, if a consumer needs something, they will look elsewhere. They will look for competitors, especially on Amazon, even where there's no recognition of the brand. If there's a high quality review count and traction with a good listing that converts, you can very easily lose a customer. Okay, so we like working with clients that realize that their supply chain and sourcing can be their competitive advantage. And we see this happen frequently. So it's not exciting, it's boring, but some of the best clients we have are fantastic at sourcing and fantastic at maintaining a supply chain, and it is their competitive advantage, and people just can't compete with them. So it's really important. So talking about operations and fulfillment and data transfer and all of these things is not exciting, but it supports, it's the blood that supports your business. And whether that's optimizing your catalog, your ad spend, or your, driving conversion rates, all of these things are moot if you can't have a well-defined supply chain and maintain stock levels that sync with your forecasts. So absolutely critical. Okay, so can you deliver repeatable sales and a customer experience over and over again, not stock out of inventory, consistently maintain the necessary account ops and health metrics to keep your account healthy. Don't get your account shut down. It's a bad day when that happens. Okay, so stay in stock. Make sure you forecast your inventory requirements and your cash needed to support your sales targets, always. Okay, so moving up the pyramid to top 10 tip number 4, which is build retail-ready listings. So this is absolutely critical. And it really is defining the customer experience with your products, okay? And so retail readiness is a concept that Amazon speaks about. You can look it up. It's a very common thing, but often missed. Okay, so there's a handful of elements here. I'm going to rifle through them. So your product titles should be 50 to 100 characters. Your description and bullet points should be at 5 bullets, 500 characters total. Proper keywords. Talk about the benefits of your product, the use cases, etc. So you have to educate the consumer on the benefits of your product and how it might fit into their life and why it's useful for them. And building off that's all keyword rich real estate. So do your keyword research. It's all SEOable content. It indexes in search. So build content rich listings that are not keyword stuffed, but tell the story of your product and the benefits and use cases where it's relevant. Images, absolutely critical. So fill up the carousel. There's different category situations that offer different quantity of images that you can use in that carousel, but fill it up. Okay, so your main image on a white background, produce lifestyle photos, infographics, size scale photography, things that tell the story of the product. Again, if you were to sell this item to a consumer, and in mobile this happens quite a bit, just from the pictures. What is the story of your product you need to tell using just pictures and images? And what's really important right now is video. We're seeing a huge expansion in video on product detail pages, but also in search results, in advertising, in brand stores. So lean heavily into video. But in essence, fill up that carousel on your product detail pages as much as possible, because that helps drive conversions. Customer reviews. We target a minimum of 15 to 20 reviews on a listing for it to be retail ready. Okay, so in order to do that, you've got to generate conversions, you've got to stay within Amazon's terms of service, and what we say is the best way to do that is to sell more product. Star ratings have to be 4+. Your inventory, in stock and prime eligible, buy box, own the buy box, ideally 100% of the time. In our view of the world, if you can't maintain a consistent buy box percentage above 90%, it's very hard to develop a comprehensive strategy to drive traffic and conversions and a consistent brand experience. So buy box is critical, which means you have to have clean distribution and understand where your products are being sold. And then lastly, enhanced content. So A+ content and storefront. These need to be built out. These are areas on either your product detail page below the fold where you can create rich content, comparison charts, a lot of really fantastic information that helps drive conversion rates. We've seen and heard that adding A+ improves conversion rates by 5%. Okay, that's a big W if you can make that happen. And lastly, your storefront is super important. In the past, Amazon has been very transactional, and it's still transactional, but we've seen Amazon leaning very heavily into brands and supporting brands to the point where it's much easier to find a storefront today than it has ever been. We've seen them displaying in search results, where in the past, the only way to find a storefront was either to click on a brand ad that drives you into a landing pages in a store, or to click on the hyperlink brand at the top above your title on a product detail page. So Amazon is transactional, but it is increasingly becoming a brand discovery platform, and we're seeing that in a lot of the tools and KPIs that they've been rolling out. So really dial in that content. So what does this all mean? I mentioned to you at the beginning that this is really defining the experience that consumers are having with your brand and or product. So, is your catalog properly organized? Do you have the correct variation relations set up? Have you identified the most relevant keywords for your target audience? Okay, are you targeting those search terms? Are you targeting short primary search terms, long tail search terms? Are you going after branded search, non-branded search? These are all really important elements that need to be thought through and built into your content and your ads, which we'll get to. And in essence, are your product detail pages optimized for conversion? Okay, conversion is king, relevancy is king. Okay, and then lastly, make your catalog and your assortment available in Prime. It's absolutely critical, and so we're going to talk more about that. So good segue into top tip number 5, Prime eligibility. There's 100+ million Prime members in the US alone, each paying $119 a year for free 2-day shipping and more. And those consumers want to use that Prime membership. That demographic that has the Prime membership, they spend more annually. It's a higher demographic, and they spend more on Amazon, which makes sense. And Amazon is one of the top, if not the most trusted brand in the world. And a big reason for that is because of the Prime program. So Prime consumers want to buy Prime eligible products, period, end of story. And with Prime, you get access to premium placement on Amazon, different merchandising opportunities, deal opportunities that you don't get if your product is not Prime eligible. Okay, so examples of those: lightning deals, best deals, deal of the day. There's so many things that you can't leverage if your assortment is not Prime eligible. So there's a few ways to make products Prime eligible. If you're a seller, one is FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. You're consigning your inventory to an Amazon warehouse, and they handle the pick, pack, and ship. It is the path of least resistance to Prime eligibility. It's a trusted program, been around for years. It can be a pain. You have to maintain the integrity of your inventory. There's something called the IPI score that basically grades how well your inventory turns. You can't use Amazon as the 3PL. So you've got to put inventory in their facility that will turn. Okay, so that's one way in. Another way in is seller fulfilled Prime, or SFP. This is an invite-only program, and essentially it allows you to ship Prime out of your warehouse if you can meet the service level of Prime, which is 2 days. Okay, so this opens up a whole other suite of questions around: where's your warehouse located? Regionally, where are you set up? Do you have coverage on the coasts and the middle part of the states? More advanced tactic for sellers that can use that type of program. Typically, bigger assortments, more advanced, bigger businesses. And again, it's invite only right now. There used to be a program called FBA Onsite that they deprecated, which was sad. We liked that program. Similar to SFP with some nuance, but you can't do it anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then lastly, if you can't leverage Prime for whatever reason, so let's just say you're a clothing brand and you've got 20 different styles of shirts, and you've got 10 different colors and 14 different sizes of each. Invariably, there's products that are not going to sell as fast. These are your long tail items. The long tail assortment, you probably don't want to put it in FBA. And so you want to leverage shipping out of your own warehouse, or FBM, or fulfillment by merchant. And so in that case, you'd have a hybrid fulfillment setup where a portion is Prime eligible, a portion is not, and that's okay. As long as your fastest moving items are Prime eligible, that is most important. Transitioning to number 6, generate conversions and reviews. Okay, you've sourced your products, you've built your product detail pages, your products are Prime eligible. Now is the time where the rubber meets the road. You've got to generate high conversions. It's an absolute must, and it is one of the primary triggers for Amazon's algorithm. Okay, so conversion goals vary by category, but generally for us, we like to target around 20 to 30% conversion on organic sales, not ad sales, organic sales. Okay, and so when you drive a conversion, what you're doing is you're telling Amazon's algorithm that your target audience is finding your product through search and they're buying. Okay, so again, it's about relevancy and conversions. Who's your target audience? Find the target audience, and when they find your product and land on your product detail page, they have to convert. Okay, quality reviews are a must. You drive a conversion, you will invariably get a review. Okay, it happens very infrequently. Something like 5% of the time you'll generate a review on a sale. So you need to generate a lot of conversions to increase that review count. We've seen and heard one review creates a 10% lift on orders, where 50 reviews has a 30% impact on orders. So early reviews are critical and important when launching. And at some point, when you get to a certain quantity, it becomes less impactful, but still very important. And 80% of sales are on products with a rating of at least 4 stars. Quantity, quality, okay? And ultimately creating a great customer experience. So Generating conversions. There's a couple tools and tactics that you can use. There's various buying groups that exist. You can find Facebook groups that are geared towards buying products on Amazon. Okay, you got to be careful. It's got to be within terms of service. But there's ways to generate coupon codes and provide discounts to generate conversions on your products. We're seeing a lot of activity with influencers right now, whether it's TikTok or Instagram, putting out product to influencers and driving traffic inbound to Amazon has a fantastic effect on conversion rate, but also Amazon loves external traffic into Amazon. And then lastly, reviews. So there's a program called Vine. It used to be for vendors only, but is now available to sellers, where you are making your products available to what are called Vine eligible reviewers at Amazon. So these are vetted, trusted reviewers from Amazon's side that leave reviews unbiased. And so it's a good way when you're launching to generate reviews. There used to be a program called Early Reviewer Program that was deprecated recently, which was unfortunate. We like that program, but Vine is a sanctioned Amazon program that we highly recommend using. So ultimately, conversion rate wins. Relevancy and conversions is how you drive volume and traffic and continued purchase for your products on Amazon. Okay, next, a big meaty topic, developing a proper ad strategy. So there's a ton to unpack here, and we certainly can't do it in this short period of time, but I'm going to do my best to oversimplify it and give you kind of the high level basics. So what we always ask clients is, what are we targeting? What are our goals? Are we targeting awareness, or are we targeting conversions? And the answer to that question depends. It depends on the product. It depends on the price point of the product. It depends on whether or not you have any sort of brand equity or branded search. In general, earlier on, we like to target, we want traffic. We need traffic and awareness that hopefully leads to conversions. And once you get conversions spinning and happening, whether it's through ads or whether it's organically, the next point is where you start focusing on taking market share. Okay, so traffic, awareness, conversions, and market share is in general the sequence. So you want to use as much of the ad funnel as you can, but generally you want to start at the bottom first, which is very much at the point of transaction. We all know, and we've heard the stories about how big Amazon's ad business is, and it continues to grow and take more share from Google and Facebook, and it will continue. So what's happening is, it's a pay-to-play marketplace. There's more sellers, there's more advertisers, there's more ad types, so it's getting more complex and more competitive and more expensive. Okay, so really understanding the strategy out of the gate is super important. So there's a common progression that we see. And again, this is not always true, but in general, it's fairly common. Overarching theme is in ad campaign structure and setup. We usually like to go after and set up campaigns around branded search and non-branded search. And the idea is, if you have a brand and you have brand search, you want to defend what you have first, defend your territory. Make sure you're displaying at the top for your branded search first, generate those conversions. And at some point, maybe you can pull off that if you've got high enough organic placement, but you want to make sure you're defending your territory first and winning that branded search, followed by non-branded. What are the competitors you want to target? What are the generic non-branded terms you want to go after, the long tail terms, the more product specific terms or product targeting terms that you want to go after? So in either case, with any ad type, it's generally branded versus non-branded. So we usually start at sponsored product ads, which are at the very bottom of the funnel, the ad funnel. Sponsored product ads. You typically start with an automatic campaign. In a lot of cases, we'll start with a manual campaign in parallel. And then you want to start adding in negative keywords along the way. These are keywords you don't want your ads to index for. Then we generally move to sponsored brand ads. You've got to be brand registered to have access to these ads. You're targeting a wider audience in this scenario. It's more top of funnel, where you can be more creative. You can leverage more brand assets, and you can drive consumers to various landing pages that are based on certain product types that you want to display together, or your storefront. We are absolutely in love with videos right now in sponsored brand ads. It's relatively new, but again, lean into video for your product detail pages, but in your ads as well. And we like them very much in sponsored brand ads. Then you can move over to sponsored display. So once you have a product fit that is working, and you're driving conversions and you understand your audience, that's when you can start amplifying impressions and trying to bring in more traffic and more awareness to your product detail pages. After that, we're seeing a lot of progression into what's called DSP, or Amazon's demand side platform. We're going to talk a little bit more about DSP, and I've got a slide around this as well. It is such a major ad opportunity. It's a little more advanced and a little pricier in certain cases than some of the traditional ads. But as there's more proliferation and more brands and more competition, DSP is becoming very important. And lastly is OTT, which are over-the-top ads. So moving into this ad funnel, just for context, you can see this graphic that displays kind of the ad funnel from awareness down to purchase. In between, you've got consideration, purchase intent, and purchase experience in the various ad types that support each of those sections of the funnel. And you'll see that sponsored products is at the very bottom of the funnel. It's right at the point of purchase. Brand ads are higher up in the funnel that are more around consideration and generating and educating consumers on who your brand is or what your product type is. And display ads are even higher in the funnel around geared towards awareness. And DSP can encompass really all parts of the ad funnel. And so more on DSP. Again, it's Amazon's demand side platform, and really it enables advertisers to reach existing customers both on and off Amazon via programmatic ads. So it's the automated buying and selling of advertising space. Pricing for DSP can vary by format and placement. And there's a couple ways you can run DSP ads. You can go through the managed service, which is through Amazon. It typically requires a minimum purchase of about $35K. And a commitment for 2 to 3 months. But some agencies have DSP seats and can self-manage. And so in those cases, we're seeing opportunities where you can run DSP ads for 10K as an entry point for a campaign size. You got to be really careful. At some point, if you're underspending, it becomes there's really no data that you can glean from these campaigns. So you want to make sure you give yourself enough budget to test and ideally drive conversions, but certainly learn and grab data that you can leverage in various parts of your business. So the ad funnel is absolutely important. All elements of it are important. You should understand where you're at in the customer journey and make sure you're advertising accordingly to that. And again, if you feel like you've got some of the basics in advertising down, it's time to start considering DSP and some of these more advanced ad tactics, because they're very important, very effective, and it can really take your business to the next level. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Number 8 on the list of top 10 pro tips for Amazon sellers. Build a promotions calendar and align with a merchandising strategy. So the question is what are the various holidays and events that are most relevant to your product type and or brand where we might see increased traffic? Okay, these are opportunities for you to really win and take advantage of more consumers shopping for your product type. So is it spring? Do you sell outdoor products that are really relevant for hikers or the outdoor enthusiast? Is it Mother's Day? Is it Father's Day? Is it whatever day? Okay, so whatever your product type is, and understanding who your target audience is, what are the various dates on the calendar where that customer may be shopping more so than usual and have a higher intent. Okay, it could be Prime Day. It could be Cyber 5. Okay, so build that calendar well in advance. Okay, and understand where you should and could merchandise to take advantage of that traffic. Run coupons, run promos, run Prime Day deals. There's a lot of things that you should be considering throughout the calendar year where you can really lean into traffic and conversions. So in general, though, all of these need a well-intentioned and thought-out strategy as it relates to traffic driving, but also the management of your inventory. Okay, if you want to run a promotion or you want to run a Prime Day deal or you want to run something in a high traffic period of time where you might have high sales, guess what? You have to forecast that out and make sure you've got inventory. And so a lot of those cases, you have to make a decision well in advance of the event to make sure that you can take advantage of these traffic opportunities. So moving on, number 9, pursue advanced traffic driving and social options. So this is something we see for advanced brands or ones that have their business dialed in, that want to squeeze more juice out of the orange for their business. There's a lot of ways to do this, and you got to go further up the funnel on some of these advanced tactics. So one of them that we really like and have used is Amazon Live. This is similar to HSN, where you get, it's a live feed where Amazon is demonstrating products, and it drives a ton of awareness and a ton of conversions. We did one of these last year, right around Prime Day, and it's extremely pricey, but the exposure is unbelievable, and the conversions are unbelievable. And beyond the event, the flywheel continues to spin, and there's really a halo of volume that comes afterwards. Again, lean in on video in your product detail pages in the carousel. Video and search is a really exciting development at Amazon. OTT, or over-the-top ads. Sponsored brand for video, brand stores, A+, all video. So if you don't have video production or a resource that does video production for you, you should highly consider it. It's a worthy investment, and the adoption of video on Amazon and various shopping sites is going to continue. So lean in on video. We've had some good success with Amazon editorials. So if you're familiar with editorials, you get positioning on page 1, where Amazon creates a piece of real estate where if you search, for example, throw blankets, okay, Amazon editorial will display options or the top 10 throw blankets or the warmest throw blanket. There's editorials that are written, and Amazon will layer that information in the middle of the page. It's a very good placement. And so what we've seen and we like to do is layer editorials on top of ad buys and video and search. It's a fantastic combination. If you can get placement on page 1 in multiple spots that include editorials, it's fantastic exposure. So editorials is big right now. Amazon attribution, where you can leverage Amazon, this particular tool, the attribution tool, in your social endeavors. Okay, so driving traffic from external sources in and creating various tags that are trackable for Amazon that attribute sales down the line is really important, and we're seeing some great outcomes from that. And in general, anytime you can drive inbound traffic from external sites to Amazon, it's a good thing. Amazon hates traffic going out, but they love traffic coming in. And so again, it's about relevancy and conversion. So if you can drive external traffic into Amazon and drive a conversion, that is a big win as it relates to how you're going to index in the search algorithm. And last but not least, rinse, wash, and repeat using data and testing. Now, this may seem boring, but it is absolutely critical. And this is essentially related to all the things we've done. Okay, we've built a business. You've got conversions. We're doing all these really cool tactics and strategies that are driving sales and customers and purchase. Fantastic. What is the data telling us? Where are there opportunities to do better? Where are the product extensions or the ways that we can target maybe a different audience using our existing assortment? And in essence, how do we get the Amazon flywheel spinning even faster and faster and faster? And so the focus is on optimizing and improving. And ultimately, the goal is to take more and more market share. Okay, so if you've gotten to this point and your business is spinning, your focus has to be on taking market share. So you need to get very clear on the KPIs that matter for your business. And in general, Amazon's reporting continues to get better. Brands have more visibility into their business and their customers and the customer journey now more than they ever have. And so you need to identify the KPIs that matter to you. And it could be very simple. It could be you trying to squeeze out more profitability, 1 point, 2 points, where you figure out a different way to package your products that are smaller dimensionally. It could be share of voice. How do I get more share of voice on site? It could be, and this is something we really like, new to brand metrics. So this is a KPI, new to brand. How many customers are buying your product or brand for the first time? That's a really important metric that we track. And ultimately, we try to layer on lifetime value or long-term value of that customer. Because if you can make a case to buy sales, buy a business, or buy a transaction through ads, it may not be profitable right away. But if you understand the LTV of your customer, it gets really interesting and it changes your mindset around ad spend, budgeting, etc. So again, this is not conclusive of everything that you ever will need to do. What I told you may not work for you or may not be relevant to you, but directionally it's very accurate. And we've seen it time and time again. It is the recipe for success. Amazon's an ever-changing marketplace and environment, so you have to adapt daily. So I want to thank Greg Mercer again and the Jungle Scout team for having me. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and I wish I could communicate with you all and take questions and answer them, but I can't right now. But if you have questions and you want to learn more about any of the topics we discuss or anything in general, I would love to talk to you. So please email me, message me on LinkedIn. Also, sign up for Channel Key's blog on our website, or follow us on LinkedIn, Channel Key. Follow Channel Key on LinkedIn. We put a ton of very relevant content, and our goal is to educate and do the best we can to help brands understand what it takes to win and provide a lot of tips along the way. So again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Hope to hear from you and enjoy. Best of luck.
Thank you, Dan, for sharing your experience on what it takes to begin scaling up an Amazon business. That was such a valuable session packed with a ton of advice that you can start on right now to begin leveling up your listings. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one main takeaway from this session that you're going to start focusing on as you try to grow your sales on Amazon? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you've gotten any value from this session, please let us know by giving this video a big thumbs up. Now, there's been a lot of valuable information shared today, but we know you have a ton of questions. So make sure you stick around for this next session. Our experienced Jungle Scout sellers will answer all your questions in this upcoming AMA. I'll see you in the next session.